isn't laughing about it. Ryan Phillippe has a sneak preview of the pulse-pounding, I did not see that coming finale of Secrets and Lies.
You think I killed Tom? This is not true.
And a flashback to when he made daytime history.
Dad, he isn't gay. I am.
And she's the Broadway legend who paved the way for today's Latina stars. And this morning, she snagged her 10th Tony nomination, the one and only Chita Rivera. This is The View with Whoopi, Nicole Wallace, Rosie Perez, and today, Cristela Alonzo and Padma Lakshmi hit the co-host chairs. It all starts now.
Why don't we paint the town? And all that jazz, I'm gonna lose my knees and hold my stockings down. And all that jazz, start the car. I know a whoopee spot where the gin is cold but the piano's hot. Woo!
Welcome to The View, y'all. You know, that was all that jazz by the legendary, fabulous, amazing Chita Rivera. Yes, who was this morning nominated for her 10th Tony, and she's here with us today. So we're very excited. And, you know, we're going to be getting into some pretty heavy stuff today, but we all felt that it would be better off to start by asking the audience a very simple question. Is this funny?
I guess so. No, we were panel divided. Not everybody.
Here's the thing. Y'all laughed, but apparently there are folks out there who don't think it's funny, like Apple. You will not be able to get fart apps on the Apple Watch. Well, what can I say?
You know what's crazy, though? You can have Grindr, which is like sex around the corner, but you can't have a toot? I mean, I think that's crazy.
Well, you mean a poot. Yeah, a toot is something totally different. But a poot,
and he calls them toots. Liam Toot, that's his toots. And he thinks they're hilarious.
Don't let him say it much longer.
All right, is that word? You'll tell me in the break.
I'll explain later. But, you know, you can find all kinds of things on your Apple apps. You can find weed, you can find hookups, you can find... But you're not going to be able to have a funny app that farts.
I don't think farts are funny, honestly. And honestly, do you really need an app to do that? Like,
yeah,
do you really,
hell yeah!
There's a scientist, like, there's a designer somewhere, like a graphic guy at home, just like, how do you get a fart to be on, you know, come on.
My daughter got a whoopee cushion in one of her gift bags from a birthday party. We wore that thing out. It stopped working.
She was puked. Yeah. I mean, they're funny.
You know, maybe
humor that kids can identify with.
Why do you not think they're funny?
Maybe, you know, look, okay. In second grade,
okay, all right. What happened, baby?
Someone brought a whoopee cushion to school.
Was I there?
No,
sorry.
no. You probably would have. You would have.
So what happened,
They brought a whoopee cushion to school. They put it on my desk. I sat down, and for the rest of the year, everybody kept saying, "Farty to the party," and it was just me, and it was. I hate farts because of that.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm named because of a whoopee cushion. And so, yes, that's where that came. Yes. Listen, when I was a younger actor, we would work in theaters this big. You know, there's not dressing rooms and stuff. So when you're changing, you're running the you don't have time to be cute. Yeah. So you be changing your clothes and be like running onto the thing. And so they started calling me Whoopee Cushion. And then it went. That was what it was originally.
So fancy.
Oh, very fancy.
It was French, I heard.
It was very French. But welcome back. Because you have a whoopee cushion in your life now. And you're laughing. So we've taken care of that. Okay.
True. You're right.
So we've had some levity, and now we do need to switch gears to a hot topic in America this morning. The rioting in Baltimore after the funeral of Freddie Gray, a young black man who was mortally wounded while in police custody. Now, the unrest has led to over 200 arrests and put citywide curfew in place in Baltimore. Now, the scene was poignantly captured on a video of a mother desperately trying to keep her son from joining the rioters. And you know, she saw him on television, okay? And yes, she saw him on television and went and said to him, basically, take off that hood. And do you have any idea what you're doing down here? Do you have any idea what's happening here?
Yeah, you know, I don't condone violence on any level. I really don't. But I have to say that when I saw this on the news last night, I leaped out of my chair and said, yes, 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 because if more mothers would...
Oh, the mother.
At the mother.
Sorry.
No, I agree.
The mother. She's a hero, right?
Yeah, she's a hero to me, because if we had more parents that would have told their kids, don't do this. Don't do this. It is destructive. It is destructive. And we need a better response, a more intelligent response, a more empathetic response to what's going on. Yes, what they have endured for years in Baltimore is really disgusting and deplorable, and something has to happen. But to destroy your own city, your place, that CVS, there are employees from that neighborhood that are not going to have a job now.
How about this? You're upset because a young man who wasn't doing anything to anybody, maybe he ran because he saw cops, we don't know. But you're upset about that, right? He's a stranger. This happened to a stranger and you're mad. But what you've done to other strangers negates everything that you're marching for. Because you're doing it to somebody else. You've just effectively done it.
You're also doing it to your own community. I mean, which is the thing that I don't understand. I mean, you know, these people are...
Because they don't want to go out of the community and do it, because chances are they could get really hurt.
Right.
So people feel more comfortable. If I do it here, it's not going to happen. But you can't, you know, I know young people, you're mad, but there are better ways to do it. But you brought up a great point. I'm sorry, Becky.
In regards to, well, first of all, the one point that I wanted to also bring up is that, you know, this was predicted. This was predicted. The Baltimore, I don't know if it was the Sun or the Times magazine last fall, wrote an article on this because of the police brutality and the devastation and the despair and the poverty down in Baltimore. The Wire, hello, HBO The Wire was predicting this for a very long time. And you know, and also the city council and went to the mayor's office and says, we need cameras. We need cameras. And then finally the mayor relented and said, yes, we do. And it was denied. It was denied. The police department said, no, this is a tragedy.
What were you going to say, baby? I'm sorry.
No, it's just that I can understand the violence is such an extreme measure, but, you know, you also understand that sometimes out of frustration, you want to get your voice heard. And I know I don't condone violence, but it's at that moment where things get so out of hand that you have to take that second and realize, is it right? Is it worth it, what I'm doing? You are doing it to your own community. You are burning down the CVS and taking away people's jobs, but it's also out of frustration, out of feeling that after so many years, your voice still isn't heard. And how frustrating is it?
I think you have to keep in mind, though, these were not people that came out of the funeral and in their grief.
Oh, no.
This was a separate, deliberate, criminal action fueled by social media, rallied and organized on Twitter. And I wonder what role Twitter has in tipping off law enforcement. Hey, I'm watching these tweets. They're trending, meet at the corner of X and Y and burn that stuff down. What role does law enforcement have, one, to do a better job monitoring? I mean, if gangs are using Twitter, shouldn't the cops be on there too? And what role does Twitter have to say, you know, if it's child porn, they're on top of it.
Police is on Twitter. And speaking of Twitter, a lot of the cast members from The Wire, specifically Wendell Pierce and Andre Royal, and also the writers, David Simon, they went on Twitter and told the people of Baltimore, stop.
There was a call for calm at Freddie Gray's funeral. See, if you are if you're mad for somebody, then you have to be willing to stand up and speak for them. You're not speaking for anybody. This is not what Freddie said. And listen to what his twin sister said. Take a look.
I don't agree with the violence that they're doing to the city. This is too much. I don't think all that's for Freddie. I think the violence is wrong. And Freddie Gray wasn't no person for violence. Or Freddie Gray wasn't that type of person to break in those stores and all that. I don't like it at all.
Okay, come on, you know?
There are people that use it as an excuse.
To be destructive
well, then go do it in your own neighborhood. And see how your folks feel. If your mother worked at that CVS, shame on your ass. Shame on you. We'll be right back with more Hot Topics. Shame on you.
Next, Dancing with the Stars' devastation. Was the 14-year-old Hunger Games star too young to handle the competition?
A new video has emerged of Native Americans walking off the new Adam Sandler comedy, The Ridiculous Six, because they were offended by the stereotypes in the movie. Here's a tiny bit of video leaked from the set. Take a look.
And there's the stereotype going on.
Here's the thing, if you're overly sensitive about it, you shouldn't be. That's the most important.
You're trying to tell us what's disrespectful to us? You're trying to tell Native what's disrespectful to them?
Whoa.
You read the script.
I was actually, I had the chance to audition for a role, can I say the name?
No.
No?
No.
But I said no to it because I thought the name was offensive. And I actually didn't want to audition and have the chance of being in the movie because I didn't want my nephews and my niece and my family to know that I would do a character named after that. And then a month later, that happened, and I thought, wow, that's what happens when you trust your gut.
Do we know if these were extras?
They were extras.
These were extras.
Yeah, they were extras.
So they hadn't read it.
No.
No. Extras usually are not privy to the script.
And trust me, when you can't tell somebody that if something's not offensive. If they feel it's offensive, guess what? It's offensive.
But has that ever happened to you guys that you've done a project and you've been like, really? And you're like, oh my God, I'm not doing it. Really?
Yeah.
And what do you do?
I write about it in my book. You say no. Or if you feel that you can have a relationship with the director, writer, and producer and sit down with them and say, listen, sweetheart, this isn't right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a problem with playing this type of character, but you have to make her human.
Right.
You have to give her, you have to let
Make
her a person and allow me to bring some dignity to her, whether she may be a crackhead or what have you. It's like everybody's a crackhead, hello? You know, is that not mean everybody's a crackhead? That was
I know you mean, but you know what I mean. Anybody can be a crackhead. And your point is, every crackhead is also a human being.
Every crackhead is still a human being and still has a backstory. And the thing is that when I first started in this industry, I got it from all sides. I got it from people who were not Latin and people who were, you know, and it's really tricky and it's very hard. And I had to say a lot. I had to say no a lot of the time.
I always say
had to say no.
Saying no is the only power you have. It's one of the only few powers that you have as an actor in this business. You can say yes to anything, but saying no has a lot of power.
Yeah, and then when you think about
a lot of courage. I mean, I applaud you for doing it, but you know, you're also at a point in your career where you have more choices. Like I think what happens is when you're at the beginning of your...
I was at the beginning of my career. I was at the beginning of my career.
There is that thing where, you know, you wait for the phone to ring, you finally get a part. Maybe, you know, sometimes when I was auditioning, I didn't even get the whole script. I would just get sides or whatever, and you don't find out until you
accept
going by
what you read.
Right, and then, you know, you have no power. I mean, you try and do what you can, but at the end of the day, you know, you have to work, you have to feed yourself, you have to do what you can, and I think when you do have the power to make those decisions...
Right, but here's a bigger question, too. What is funny? What is funny and what is allowed and what is your First Amendment right?
Funny is subjective. I mean, when you know, Mel Brooks is to me, is the perfect way to explain this. Mel took what could have been a really offensive film, Blazing Saddles, and made it so funny that you kind of went, oh, because he didn't go all the way there, but he took you to the edge. I've always been asked to play white people in my career. And...
She was actually the lead in Pretty Woman. She was that good. She was that good.
Thank you.
Big mistake. Big mistake.
But I stuck to my guns. And I said, it's a black lady or nothing at all. Speaking of black women, royal baby fever has just hit a new level. A British ice cream company, are you ready for this? Called the Lickitators.
I can't believe we can say that. We couldn't say the Adam Sandler thing.
No, we couldn't. Just introduced a new flavor called Royal Gaga, which is made from what? Breast milk.
Okay.
English people, what's wrong with y'all?
Okay. Hold on.
English here, too. We're just English people, by the way.
You guys, you go to Craigslist and you can buy booby milk, like on Craigslist.
Yes,
For,
you
I
can.
mean, I had so much I should have sold mine.
Here's the thing. If you are drinking milk, you're drinking booby milk. It's just from a cow. It's the cow's booby. Oh, where do you think a cow's milk comes from? Goat milk, sheep milk. It comes from a cow's
Teeth.
Yeah.
I think the idea though is that with like
Definitely
And you always think it's me, but it isn't.
nothing compared to what was going on backstage earlier.
the thing with the human breast milk is the idea that you could have ice cream and you're like, this is delicious. Karen, is this yours? Like, it's weird. It's personalizing it. It's like,
It gives a new meaning to yummy mummy.
I know that Haagen-Dazs is a cow's boobs milk, but I'm just like, it's been around long enough that I'm used to it. I would not, and you know, I nursed forever, like way too long. I wouldn't, I mean, if the dog licked it, it's disgusting.
Thank God.
Yeah. And I think like, what's in your boob is for your kid and no one's ice cream.
And we're the only people who drink another species'
Milk.
milk.
That's true.
It's kind of bizarre.
We're the only species, we're the only beings, human beings are the only ones that drink other.
Yeah, we're the only species that drink somebody else's milk.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't
I gotta
want
think about
donkey
that.
milk.
Cow.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know if donkeys have milk. I'm just assuming. But, you know.
All mammals do, don't they? All mammals have milk.
I thought, yes, all mammals have bat milk. Who wants to drink bat milk? There it is.
oh my God, that totally makes me want to drink bat milk.
All of a sudden, I want sonar.
And speaking of milk, before we go, we want to congratulate Padma, who made People's List of the most beautiful people. We'll be right back.
Find out why Nicole's new novel, Madam President, is being called the #1 new and noteworthy book out there. Next.
Today, you know the newspaper, the USA Today, just called the new novel, Madam President, the #1 most frog legs, the #1 most new and noteworthy book out there. This is the book they're all talking about, and we have the author with us here today. Well, and every day, because it's the fabulous Nicole Wallace. It comes out today, right? It comes out today, and you've signed for folks, but we're giving you, you know, Oval Office.
Back in the Oval Office. So
what was it like the first time you walked in?
You know, I always felt like Bridget Jones inside the West Wing. You know, I was the one knocking things over and screwing things up. And I think that's why George W. Bush and I got along so well. I mean, he had a goofy side. And, you know, I wrote these 3 books because we treat our politicians and all of our leaders like these two-dimensional beings.
Right.
We talk about their poll ratings going up and down, their decisions being horrible or wonderful. And part of our polarized politics takes away the fact that they're human beings who weep when their, you know, mothers or fathers get sick, who after they comfort a family of a soldier's parents who've lost somebody. It takes them 2 days to stop crying. I mean, these are human beings.
Right, but you wrote about a female president.
I did.
And Charlotte, and this is the 3rd installment, right? And so tell us more about it and why a female president, why you decided to...
Well, so this is, you know, where my real life departs into the, unfortunately, the fantasy and the fictional. After 2008, after watching what Hillary Clinton went through in her primary against Obama and what Sarah Palin went through, I thought that they deserve to be criticized. You're running to lead the free world. But they didn't deserve to be evaluated on their clothes. They didn't deserve the scrutiny on their personal relationships. Why should a woman have to answer whether she can juggle motherhood and running the country? No man, right? Ever. And you know, so I don't know, you guys have written books, like you start years and years ago. I mean, I started writing this book 3 years ago, and someone said, did you time it with Hillary's announcement? One, she's a Democrat, and we are not in cahoots. And two, I'm glad there's a woman running, but we will not have realized my sort of fictional world until there's a woman on both sides, and we're choosing which woman will win.
Right. On the merits of their work, not on the merits of their gender.
And in these books, these are stories. They're not, you know, my baggage about being a woman. They're about women running the country. And on this day, the president encounters, I think, the most horrific thing you can. 5 attacks on the country. And I was in the White House on 9/11, so I borrowed very much from my own notebooks on 9/11 in the White House just to get all the little details right.
That's what I was going to ask. When you were working at the White House, were you taking mental notes on what could possibly be a book? Like, how much research did you have to do to write this book?
I'll tell you the truth. My agent is back there, and when I met him, he said, I'm Lauren Weisberger's agent. And I said, The Devil Wears Prada gave me an idea about writing about one of the most opaque places in the world, the West Wing of the White House, and throwing open the doors the way Lauren Weisberger did in The Devil Wears Prada with Vogue, which to me was the biggest mystery place in the world. I didn't even know what shoes went with what. So throwing open the curtains to the White House, and you know, my experience in politics, the people that write tell-alls aren't in the room as often as they say they are, and the people who are in the room all the time never tell all. So writing novels was a way to get every little detail right. And then I became obsessed after 9/11 with things like, why were there trays of cookies everywhere? Like, it was the worst crisis in the world, but there was food. So after 9/11, I went and asked the chefs, like, why were you bringing out cookies? And they said, because it was what we could do. And the same with the stewards on Air Force One. You know, why were you, you know, bringing around mints and blankets? It was what they could do to protect the people.
And did you find that in the book, do you make any type of references in regards to the difference between a male president and a female president?
I mean, she just has a uniquely feminine ability to sort of put up with the indignities of an unfaithful husband, but she never sits around and says, oh,
and it's not about Hillary?
What?
Has George Bush read this book yet? Has your former boss read these books?
I have talked to him about the books. I write in the acknowledgments about how working in the White House on 9/11 was the privilege of my lifetime, and it certainly helped me imagine how a president would deal with it, with humanity, to have watched him deal with it.
And what's the one thing you say we have never had in the White House?
Oh, we've never had a female chief of staff.
Ever.
And that's crazy to me, because just one president has to pick her.
That's
put
right.
her in charge of the
That's
White
right.
House,
So listen, this is a series of 3 books, but this is the latest, Madam President. I'm telling you, you're going to love this book. You can read it, you can listen to it on audible.com. You must get it. And just so you know, Madam President comes out today.
I think they like you.
I'm never showering again. This is it. So Sunday night is the season finale of Secrets and Lies. When it started, you were the prime suspect in the murder, and now it seems like the wife and mistress also seem like they could be guilty. What can I expect from the finale? Do you know who the killer is?
Okay, first of all, I do. At this stage, I would hope so.
You never know. You might forget.
The finale is pretty devastating. That's what I would say. If you've watched the show up until this point and you're invested, you'll be affected for sure.
Oh, wow. God. Ah.
So take from that whatever you will. I mean.
So before when this was in previews, I was like, he's so guilty. Why am I even, I mean, I know he did it, but it really is tied my, you know, right? You saw the previews, but it's really tied my brain in a knot. Like, I think it's the best sort of whodunit that I've seen in a very long time. And do you feel that way? Do people sort of,
I do, yeah.
right?
And what's been so much fun for me, having done primarily film, is this interaction on social media with the fans and the fan base that is still growing. I mean, this week we hit a series high in ratings and we're almost finished. It's pretty cool. But to see all the theories that people have and, you know, the arguments, even my parents.
How obsessed people are, right?
Like, I called my parents after this last episode and they were in mid argument about who, you know, who, and I think they're kind of fishing for an answer, but I won't give it to them.
Now, you've been in this game for a very, 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 very long time. I love your talent and your craft. I really do. But you were also, you started out on One Life to Live?
Yeah, right across the street.
Yeah. And you played the first openly gay teenager?
Yeah, I played the first gay teenager in television history.
Oh, really?
And I was 17 when I took that job. So it was an odd time for me, also coming from like Delaware, kind of a small town, and then living in New York and playing this character that meant so much to a lot of people. I don't even think I understood then as a
Look how cute you are.
Oh my God.
Look at that. That is adorable.
I would have so dated you in high school.
That kid has some awesome hair. That hair is...
I know. Can I ask you about your kids? Because I know they're critics and they had feelings about you playing someone else's dad, right?
Yeah, which is something I didn't anticipate. You know, that's come up with females in my life at time where they don't want you doing certain scenes or they get uncomfortable.
I get that, yeah.
I didn't predict this with my kids at all, but my son in particular, who's 11, really doesn't like seeing me be a father to other kids. Like, it creeps him out. And then, you know, and so I live on the West Coast, and when the series comes on the East Coast, my dad usually lets me know when the commercial's on so I can live tweet and all that sort of thing. Well, I was here this week, and my son, who is a fan of the show, was watching it in LA, and I get this text around 9:20 or whatever it was, Pacific time, and just said, ew.
Yeah.
And I figured out that that's when there was a love scene in the series. And,
there you have it, right? Keeping it real.
he did not like that. And I said, Deacon, that's the last one of this season. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And he said, good.
Now, does Deacon have anything to do with your new foray into the tech world?
Yeah, well, actually, it's named after him. I have this startup. It's a new mobile marketing platform where people can win amazing prizes through this game. It's going to be a lot of fun when it launches, but it's called Deedle, and that's what we used to call Deacon when he was a little boy.
I love that.
So, yeah, it's D-E-E-D-L-E. So, and people can check it out if they go to thedeedle.com and sign up. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Well, Ryan Phillippe, I think we're all going to be watching this Sunday the season finale of Secrets and Lies. Thanks to Ryan Phillippe. The finale of Secrets and Lies airs this Sunday night at 9 p.m. here on ABC. We'll be back with Chita Rivera.
Rivera has been the first lady of the Broadway stage. Now, this two-time Tony winner is back in a new musical, The Visit. It is my pleasure, my honor, all of our pleasures and honors, to welcome our other queen, the fabulous Chita Rivera. Listen, first of all, let us tell everybody that just this morning it was announced this show was nominated for 5 Tony Awards, including Best Musical, and you were nominated for Best Actress in a Musical. You've been working on the show for how long?
14 years.
Wow.
We gave birth to a teenager. 14 years ago, it was a baby. But everybody that was a part of this show getting to Broadway is responsible for it. You know, all the incarnations. And it's thrilling to be back on Broadway again. Yes. But also, it's a very artistic, a very intelligent, a very passionate, and a very real show. The women will go, yeah, the men might go a little bit like this.
A little uncomfortable, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great story. It was originally a play, of course, and many years ago, the Lunts did it.
Right.
And then Ingrid Bergman and Anthony Quinn did the film. So
it's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
The Lyceum Theater.
Love it.
Yeah. So let me tell you. If our viewers don't know, and they should know, why we are calling you a living legend, is that you started on Broadway at 17 years old. And you are still here 6 decades later. And you were in productions, Chicago, Bye Bye Birdie, and you were also the original Anita in West Side Story. Yes.
And the original Rosie.
That's right.
The original Rosie in Bye Bye Birdie.
Right.
Yes.
She created all those roles.
I have been really fortunate and blessed to have worked with the most amazing people. And even the words coming out of my mouth right now probably aren't mine, because I've worked with Terrence McNally and Fred Ebb and John Cantor for so many years, and they are so responsible for so much of my professional life. I'm a very blessed woman here. But it's great to be here.
And is that why you keep coming back to Broadway, for the writers, the talent, the camaraderie?
Yeah, I mean, there's always something to learn. There's always wonderful people to learn from, to be with, great storytellers. Storytelling, you know, that's what the theater is all about. Excitement, passion, and John Doyle is our director in this, and he is extraordinary. I never dreamt that this time in my life, after all that wonderful stuff with Leonard Bernstein and Jerome Robbins and all the great people I've worked with, John Doyle has passed through my life, and I've learned so much from him, and Graciela Danielle, who's a choreographer, director. It's extraordinary. This company is great. It's a wonderful company.
And you've worked with some great choreographers. You were discovered by Balanchine. You worked with Bob Fosse.
Well, I was kind of discovered by Miss Jones, Miss Doris Jones, a fabulous ballet teacher from Boston, a black, fabulous ballet teacher, and I was 9 years old or something like that.
I have to ask you this question because you were recently, congratulations, also awarded the Medal of Freedom, the President's Medal. And you also met the Pope. So who is more interested in me?
Really nice and clear.
Okay, so you also met the Pope.
Pope Francis.
Which did you enjoy more?
My man.
I want to go to heaven, so it's the Pope. Go that way. But to meet President Obama is just extraordinary.
Speaking of heavenly, how the heck do you stay in shape? Is it just the dancing and the theater work?
I am hungry every moment. No, I believe in keeping active, keeping your brain and your body active. And I'm blessed with a great family and phenomenal friends. I haven't seen Whoopi in so long, and this is so great just to come and see you here. But I am totally blessed, and I thank God for it all.
Do you have any specific warm-up things you do before you go on?
I make really strange noises all the time. It sounds like a zoo. But I stretch and say a lot of prayers.
I want to ask you something because I've always wondered about this. We were talking earlier about all of the parts that you originated. And then when they went to film, they went to other folks. But they kept everybody kind of looking like you in the movie. Janet Leigh in Bye Bye Birdie's name is Rosie. Because she's supposed to be Hispanic. But Janet Leigh was not Hispanic.
No, she was not Puerto Rican.
But so now, when you see this, did it take you time to say, listen, this is the direction I'm on. I'm more for the stage? Because you did dun, 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 what is it?
What?
The minute you walked in the joint.
Oh, right, yeah.
Sweet Charity. Sweet Charity.
So it wasn't that you didn't want to do movies.
No, it's just the way my life has gone that way, and I appreciate it. It's cool. If I were to choose between any of them, I would like to breathe the first breath of life into a character. And that comes from generally the theater, if it's a theater piece. So you know, would I rather have done the movie of West Side than the original? No. No. Would I have? No, not the movie.
Fantastic.
No, I want to do the theater. I want to breathe that first breath of life.
This lie about you retiring is not so.
Heck no.
Okay.
The Latin community, we bow down to you. You are one of our queens, and we love you so much.
Thank you. I mean, I think it is our responsibility as human beings to represent each other, you know, and so I'm blessed that way.
Yes. We love you. Be sure to catch Tina Rivera and the rest of this amazing cast in The Visit on Broadway. It's at the Lyceum Theater. I know this theater well. That's where I started. We'll be right back. Nicole will be hanging out on our Facebook page answering your questions. Thanks to Padma. Cristela will be back tomorrow. Thanks to y'all for coming. Have a great day and take a little time to enjoy the view.